Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. And fellas, it dawns on me that this Chiefs team, they don't feel unbeatable, and yet nobody can beat them. I start with this. Would you guys have gone for 2?
I would have, yes. I thought the entire drive that if they scored, they would go for 2. I approach it. I'm not saying Tampa Bay should look at it and say they're not as good as Kansas City, but when you're on the road against the defending world champs and you've got them on the ropes and you get a chance to win a game, on one play, I think you got to do that. And we've seen this too many times, and it doesn't necessarily guarantee that they would have gone on to win, but maybe they lose it if they don't, they would lose it if they don't get it into the end zone in the 2-point play. But I do think that I didn't think that was handled very well with the timeout there at the end. It didn't end up hurting them there. But to have it come to a coin toss in overtime to see who ultimately was going to win, unless he just had enormous confidence his defense was going to be able to make a stop, which they didn't do. But, yes, I fully expected him to go for 2.
And, Joe, in that highlight I just described, we didn't show it, but that last sequence there for the Chiefs, they were, in a way, a bit fortunate, right? A couple of near picks. It looked like he and Hopkins maybe not on the same page, and a ball that got deflected into the air. But then in overtime, that guy gets the ball, and it just feels like it's a wrap. There's just a ruthlessness to what this team does. This is just what we expect to see, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a paver just going down the street. I mean, it's not fast,
right,
but they just chew up yardage in the case of a football game, and they can't be stopped. And, when you do games like this, you run the risk of constantly just going over the top about Patrick Mahomes. But you realize what they're doing. As you said, they've won 14 in a row. That's never happened in the history of this franchise. They have done it in various ways. Their defense was okay tonight, but they end up getting the ground game going in the second half. They, ran Kareem Hunt and kind of rode him for a while, and then Patrick Mahomes on third down was just flat out unstoppable.
What's it going to take, Troy, for somebody to beat this Kansas City team? As I said, they're not destroying people, but good God, are they hard to beat?
No, you just have to be on your game. I mean, we've talked about it. Everybody has talked about it. That
right.
Patrick Mahomes, he just knows how to win. He finds ways to win. It doesn't, whatever game you're playing, he can adjust his game to play that game that's needed in order to pull it out. And like we talked about earlier before the game started on that hit, that this is a team that they're less than full strength. They've had a lot of issues. They're as vulnerable as they've been in a long time, and yet nobody has been able to take advantage of it. They are only going to get better. You think about what we saw from DeAndre Hopkins last week, and then the impact he had tonight. That connection's only going to get better. They're going to get healthier. It's going to get harder. And once you get to the postseason, then we all know what Kansas City, what they do.
Yeah, we do. Regular season, postseason, whatever. Right now, if you play them, it sure is hard to have more points than they do at the end of 60 minutes. Or in this case, it was, I guess, 65 and change. A fun night here in the rain and Arrowhead, gentlemen. Look forward to seeing you guys out in Los Angeles next week for the Rams on the rise against Miami. Thank you.
Safe travel, Scott.
The weather will be better.
I imagine it probably will be. Either way, we'll be happy to be together with you guys again. All right, Tampa Bay welcomes San Francisco ahead of their bye. Meanwhile, Kansas City has a visit from division rival Denver. The Broncos tended to play them fairly well through the years, and it's a visit to Buffalo on the back end of that. Those two teams, as we know, have played some spirited games, regular season and postseason, in these past few years. Their guy, Travis Kelce, 14 grabs, ties a career high, ties a single-game Monday Night Football record, and he is very kind to join us. Big Bro said he's done for the night, but you're working late night. We appreciate that, man. Great to have you with us. I said with Joe and Troy, it's crazy that the level you guys play at, you might not be the unbeatable force of nature you used to be, where you drop 40 on people but nobody beats you. Explain it.
At least not yet. At least not yet. We're working on it. We're working on it. Chiefs can't even stick with us on offense, baby. We're gonna keep putting up touchdowns, man, and it's fun though.
But that last drive, I mean, give Tampa credit. They had to tie it, and they do. But when you get the ball, there's this inevitability to it. Explain the confidence that you guys are working with. That when this game's done, we're going to have more than the other guys.
Well, it's a culture in KC, man. It's a culture. It starts with Andy Reid. It goes to Spags. It goes to the offensive and defensive leaders that have been in this building winning championships. And from there, you just believe in each other. You got the faith. And then you add a few guys like Kareem Hunt and D-Hop, swag champs. And all of a sudden, this thing is rolling, baby, and right now.
You and I were talking as we were waiting to come on the air here about Nuke Hopkins, and this is a guy who's played at an incredibly high level during his career. And the conversation we had on Countdown before the game is he doesn't need to be the 23-year-old version of Nuke Hopkins. Who he could be right now could be a difference maker. We saw that tonight. What has he shown just in a couple of games of what he can be for the Chiefs?
I mean, I said it already. He's a swag champ, and that just juices everybody, and it gives everybody confidence. It gives everybody the ability to just play free and trust the guys next to him. And I was feeling like the old head for a while.
Yeah.
But D-Hop being 2013 draft class as well, we've been able to relate to each other in that regard. And on top of that, it gives Pat somebody he can trust. That's right, baby. Hop is in the building.
The touchdown on the goal line, is that something that Patrick checked to at the line? It looked like it. My guy Stanford Steve was on it. If you talk to him, ask him. It looked like something at the line of scrimmage. It looked like a check.
No, it was all a part of the play. I think Pat might have been calling out where the offensive line was going to in terms of the protection and stuff. But on top of that, I mean, it looked like they were just on the same page, right? Uh-huh. And D-Hop has been right on time every single time. And right now, Pat is playing out of his mind right now. And Coach Reed's dialing those things up.
You guys don't lose football games. In this league where you could slip up weekly, we see it happen to really good teams a lot. It happens on a weekly basis. Trav, it doesn't happen to you guys. What is it that describes and explains the ability for a team who could get fat and happy to stay focused and hungry week in, week out?
Yeah, on top of speaking what you just said, I almost handed it away today a few times, and I'm lucky that my guys were right there for me. It's just like I said, it's a culture, man. It's a culture set from the big man down, and everybody just believes at all times that we're going to get it done because we've done it in the past. We keep doing it on nights like tonight. And I'll tell you what, when Arrowhead is rocking like it was tonight, man, it's hard to win. It's hard to lose in this place.
It's true. That's another thing we were talking about, man. I'm grateful we get to go all across the country. You see incredible places, and there are a lot of great fan bases. The Kingdom is different, man.
Hear that, baby?
It's different.
The Kingdom is different, baby.
Well, and I mean, I don't know how you even quantify what it's worth, but as you walk out here, I know you don't take this for granted, but you're like, if this is, you still got runway here, but we're on the back nine of a career. Like nights like tonight, and you look around at this place and you walk out of here winners again.
So special, man.
Yeah.
It's so special. And even outside of here in the communities, when you're doing stuff, trying to help out the communities and be there for like the underserved in the community, everybody shows up for football games, for events outside of the facility. That's why I love Kansas City and Chiefs Kingdom for who they are, because they always show up, baby.
Yep. And the idea that you've won all these games and yet there's still room, right? You haven't reached a ceiling. What's the process like from here until the most important games? And that ends in New Orleans, right? I know the ultimate goal is that. The grind and the goals weekly are what?
To just keep getting better. And I think that's always the mentality. I keep talking about this culture that Coach Reed has, and he demands a challenge every single week. He puts the challenge in front of the entire team, and from there you just find ways to keep getting better. And it's like throughout the year, you just keep going up this staircase of success, and by the end of the year, you're playing your best football, man.
14-100, but reports of your demise were greatly exaggerated. I mean, there was some little chatter early in this year, like, what's wrong with Big 8-7? Like, it seems like things are working out okay lately, huh?
We're just working, baby. We're working, man. We're going up that staircase I was just talking to you about, man. And hopefully by the end of this year, man, we're hosting another trophy, man.
Right on. Listen, it's cool to be here in the Kingdom. They hung out late to have you stop by.
How about it, baby?
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Hey, you work late, but not like your girl. She works for like 3-hour shows. You put in a light night of work, man. So you did an incredible job tonight. I appreciate you stopping by, man. Good health.
SVP and Arrowhead, baby.
Appreciate you. There he is, Travis Kelce, tying a career high with 14 catches. And the Chiefs and the Kingdom are a happy bunch tonight in overtime. 30-24. Be good, man. I appreciate you. Yep, take care. With this victory tonight, the Chiefs improved their chance to be the 1 seed to 73%, well ahead of everybody else in the AFC. Next closest is the Bills, who welcome them to town in a couple of weeks. Ryan Clark is with us. You always break down these key moments, and man, we could go for an hour on tonight's game. And we're not breaking down Tampa Bay, but let's tip our cap. They come in this place and they battle their butts off. We're going to get to Todd Bowles in a minute, why they didn't go for two. In the end, it's Kansas City who wins, and how do they do it in overtime?
Listen, what you love about overtime was the new usual suspect in D-Hop, and then obviously Travis Kelce as well. If you watch D-Hop's big catch, it was actually supposed to be a run, and he's already on the same page with Patrick Mahomes. Here, this is supposed to be a run inside to Kareem Hunt, but they're going to notice that this cornerback is 10 yards off of DeAndre Hopkins. So what he's going to do is get a communication to DeAndre Hopkins, and you're going to get an out route, which is going to allow him to get a catch and a run. But if you start to play here, you'll see that the linemen are going to run block, and then D-Hop is going to be wide open on the outside to catch this football. He makes a quick move inside and now gets upfield. Think about that, Scott. This is the guy that was just here last week. To be that in tune with Patrick Mahomes early is huge. Now, you're going to get the motion by Kareem Hunt that's going to go away from Travis Kelce. Watson here is going to hook up and kind of shield and block the inside guy. We're going to get a quick block by Travis Kelce, and then he's going to release to the flat. When that happens here, if you see the play start, when Kareem Hunt moves, it gets the linebackers to flow. Now you got the quick block or the pick route that's not called. Travis Kelce catches it and now fights his way to the end zone, and we know what happened. Kareem Hunt then runs the football in. If you look at that entire drive in overtime, it was Patrick Mahomes trusting his guys. They handed the ball off to Kareem Hunt, got the ball to Travis Kelce, and also DeAndre Hopkins.
And Joe and Troy spoke to it as it's happening in real time. There is an inevitability to them that's just, I don't know how else to say it.
You've been working, so I don't know if you've seen it yet. Baker Mayfield, when he lost the toss, you thought that somebody stole his puppy, because he knew 100% that Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes were going to get that football down the field and score.
And they passed on the opportunity to have one play from 2 yards out to win the football game, something the head coach Todd Bowles was asked about after the game.
For two, so we had our shots, we lost the game.
I don't know, in the past you mentioned you have communications upstairs about decisions, analytically, things of that nature. Did they advise you not to go for two? What was...
No, we went for one. We took our shots. We had our chances all game. We just lost the game. It didn't come down to that.
Josh Hayes had a tough assignment, having to line up against DeAndre Hopkins a lot throughout the night. It was his first NFL start. How do you think he did?
He did okay. The last drive he gave up a couple tackles that he's got to make, but he was fighting. He was in there fighting.
You and I are both big fans of Todd Bowles. In this particular instance, I'd have gone for it just because I wouldn't want to run the risk of not winning a toss. And you could say, stop him. Sure, stop him. It's really difficult.
Yeah, I was actually trying to see and think about how they move the football down the field. Because if you go back into the last two plays, you had the quick pass out to Otten that McDuffie breaks up, and then you score in throwing the football in the end zone. But that was a situation where you really couldn't use the run.
Right. That wasn't an option. That wasn't an option because they didn't have a timeout. Now, that's what I was thinking. Did you just use your best play from short yardage?
Yeah, but see, I don't think you do now, because now you have an opportunity, whether you want to have some sort of RPO where you can hand the football off if that presents, or Baker Mayfield can pull it. You can have a guy getting out to the flat. But let's be real, man. Like, we talking about all this X and O bull crap. The thing is, you don't want Patrick Mahomes to get the ball in overtime.
No.
Period. It doesn't matter if you score it there or not, because if you don't and he gets the rock, you lose.
There were 4 teams who scored a touchdown in the last 2 minutes of regulation and decided to kick extra points this week. All 4 teams lost. The Bills got the Dolphins on a 61-yarder. Patriots tied the game at zeros on the clock, lost in overtime. Seahawks tie the Rams, and then they lose in overtime. And this one, though, you're on the road and you just scored, and I don't know, man. Like, you lose that toss, and you open the door for no chance to win.
SVP, it was one of those things that you didn't really expect them to get the ball back for the opportunity to score. right? I think
No.
I think the Patrick Mahomes. I think they had a third
and
down,
one.
and they had an opportunity to get in on 4th and 1. Obviously, they can't go. They kicked the football. So if you're looking at it from that point of view, you think to yourself, we're lucky we have this opportunity. You go down, you make the play. To me, let's have full confidence in our team and our quarterback and go win this game.
I'm often fond of saying that people love to say go for it and then when it
Yeah,
works,
yeah.
you're like, yay, but when it doesn't, you think, why didn't you? In this particular instance, in this venue, having just scored, I think you take your shot.
There's no way you're sitting here going, yeah, they probably should have just took their shot, giving Patrick Mahomes the ball and
Yeah, lost the toss, haven't got the football, and watch him go down the field in the rain and say goodnight. It's Kareem Hunt in the end zone. RC, I appreciate you, man.
Hey, thank you, brother.
All right.